Hazard pay heats up, baby. It is in the third stimulus package, but could it be in the fourth stimulus package of $10,000? Wow, that would be incredible, especially for essential workers. Enjoy this throwback video explaining hazard pay on Overnight's LALATE. New reports today say that Nancy Pelosi is being asked to step aside as Speaker of the House by both Republicans and Democrats. But do you think she's going to be kicking and screaming about it? I mean, perhaps as a way to really, encourage her to step aside. Maybe Chuck Schumer could give her some Broadway tickets. Karen Maloney could give her some post office boxes to chase around the front yard. Mitch McConnell could give her some Red Lobster or take her to Red Lobster. Of course, the way I would personally do it on behalf of the Purple Power is give her a lifetime supply of gift certificates to Supercuts. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE on LALATE Afternoons and big developments on hazard pay. This video is about hazard pay, part of our 2-hour programming block every day here on LALATE that you have to stay tuned with, because coming up in 30 minutes from now is big developments on unemployment benefits. Tune in for that as well. This is part of our 3.5-hour programming block every day here on LALATE. I'll be answering some of your incredible 800 questions yesterday about hazard pay. If there was ever time to subscribe, go to the front of this channel and hit the subscribe button and drop your comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. This is an incredible community of people who are trying to get stimulus for one another. So join and subscribe right now. Also like this video because it really helps the video appear higher in the algorithm. Yesterday's videos and this morning's are upwards of 20,000 likes, so you're doing an incredible, great job. Hazard pay really is heating up with big developments today. A lot of confusion about where it's tracking legislatively and a lot of confusion what's happening locally. So that's why I'll be going over hazard pay right now and then also touching on your questions from yesterday's video on hazard pay. Hazard pay for purposes of the HEROES Act is ostensibly dead as we sit here today. That's not to say it's ostensibly dead for purposes of legislative action. The HEROES Act is not going anywhere anytime soon. The question is whether it will reincarnate in another form. First possibility, yesterday Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin had secret negotiations. Again, they won't tell us what's going on. They won't tell us what they were negotiating about. But there is the possibility that hazard pay is part of those negotiations. Now, ultimately, neither of them has ever done a good service for hazard pay, because in 2.5 weeks of negotiating last time, not one of them ever told us that they put hazard pay as one of the items of their negotiations. They told us everything else they were doing, but they never mentioned hazard pay. Of course, Pelosi is the one that you would have to have her mention hazard pay because it's in her bill. It was not in anything Mnuchin had to deal upon at the time. $10,000 individuals, $13 an hour from the pandemic up to the present goes on top of your normal hourly rate, whether you're employed or self-employed, and made $100,000 last year, would come into your bank account a lump sum if you're an essential worker, which can include everything from drivers to grocery store workers, medical people. A lot of people are included. But as we sit here today, legislatively, for purposes of Congress, does it have a path to getting approval? I don't see it. HEROES Act is essentially dead, but it can come back to life as we sit here today. The bill, which is actually front burner now, yes, the problem solvers bill from Tuesday, which Republicans, the president, Democrats, Democratic caucuses, Democratic viewers, Republican viewers, all supporting and are all pushing for, doesn't have hazard pay in it. So where would hazard pay ever come from? The first place it would come from is from local. There is new indication today from local organizations that they are trying to get hazard pay passed in jurisdictions across the country. Those hazard pay provisions are so critical because what's going on is they have the money, but they're not spending the money. A new report today says Governor Abbott out of Pennsylvania is trying to push a bill for hazard pay. Another bill out of South Carolina and North Carolina says they're trying to do a bill for hazard pay. They're all quite different. They all define essential workers differently. They're all locally. So how do you know where to apply and how do you know where to get it? This is what you got to know as we sit here today. As part of that world exclusive detailed over the weekend, the situation's still unfolding. This channel on Saturday first detailed that state and local was provided $150 billion under the first stimulus package to give you money locally as a resident of their state or city or county. And that money was to go to second stimulus checks, unemployment benefits, rent, food, hazard pay, or similar things like that. And so now states are confronted with three situations. One, they haven't even used the money and don't want to use the money, and they're trying to use it for a purpose that doesn't even qualify. Two, they haven't used the money, they don't know what to use the money for, and they're simply running out of time. Or three, the scenario that you should be excited about, which is it's use it or lose it. States have to use the money that they're allocated, other $150 billion within the next few weeks, or they lose it and goes back to the federal government. So that's why states like Abbott's are announcing hazard pay provisions right now to give money to you right now as frontline workers who have worked during the pandemic, because if they don't, they'd lose the money. So as we sit here today, is there another path for you to get hazard pay? It doesn't appear so. It doesn't appear that there's an executive order in the pipeline for hazard pay. It doesn't look like the HEROES Act is ever going to show light of day for hazard pay. It doesn't look like Nancy and Steve are negotiating for hazard pay, but it could literally change by the hour. There are other paths to certainly get you approval. That would be supporting Mitt Romney's bill that introduced a legislative effort to get you hazard pay back in the spring, in May, but not a lot of shadows going behind that bill. Or to get the problem solvers to add hazard pay to their bill, which is really not clear why it's left out. Oh yeah, actually, I take it back. It is clear why it's left out. Because when they went to talk to Nancy Pelosi about her agenda and what she wanted in the problem solvers bill, she wouldn't answer the door. Had she answered the door and had she actually spent time with these people who are working on something rather than trying to think everyone's trying to defeat you, well, they are, then you would have had hazard pay in this bill. Instead, it's not in there. So will the problem solvers revise the bill to include hazard pay? I don't know. Let me get to some of your incredible questions from yesterday about hazard pay on this video, always at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Debbie Stotts, the Temple of Doom needs to go. She cares nothing about the American people. Amen. Beauty Daniels, if she doesn't want people in her office, she doesn't need to be in office. Vote her out. She doesn't want people in the office. She turns Mark Meadows away. Steve Mnuchin she turns away. By the way, yesterday I reported she met with Steve Mnuchin for negotiations. No, apparently she spoke over the phone. She didn't want to meet with him face to face. Retha Teague, Pelosi just needs to go home. She doesn't count any longer. It's about time everyone moves away from her because she's nothing but trouble and has lost everything and lost her mind. Absolutely. Mark Daniels, it's pouring. The old man is snoring. Sign it. We need it. Mary Evans, Senator John Kennedy, these are times when I think Pelosi tried Tide Pods. Christine Moore, Nancy, go away. You're the best hope you got is to pray. You had people believing in you, but now America sees through you. You're sad. You don't even have a clue. Step up or step down as long as you look like a clown. Ooh, boy. Denny Johnson, Nancy, Chuck, Mitchell, all you hardcore government, I'm just going to call them one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eaters from now on, or I'll never forget all of them when the re-election comes up. I love that, Denny. William Newman, we need some layers to step up or organize a class action lawsuit. Just a thought. Denzel Williams. They need to get Pelosi out of the House. She's a burden to the American people, and it's just coming to the federal Democrats. It's all them playing politics, but she won't budge knowing that the people are suffering from the pandemic. It's a shame. Budge, Nancy, budge. Push the stimulus. As I detailed in the video before this now, there is a lot of movement to really erode everything that Pelosi is trying to do against us. First, Democrats have broken caucus with her. Whether it's the problem solvers, the blue dogs, the new Democrat coalition, All these groups are saying, hey, we don't support you, Nancy Pelosi. We're Democrats and we don't support you. And all she's trying to say is, everyone supports me. Here's my party of one. See everyone behind me? Where'd you all go? Where'd you all go? No one supports her. And so she keeps on when it issue press releases about how everyone's supporting her. They're not supporting her. What's ironic yesterday was that her Democratic committee chairman, for the first time in ever recorded history, all issued a statement saying, we don't support the problem solvers. Who are them? They're the problem. It was unprecedented, which everyone sort of showed as overkill, that she wanted to say as though everyone is cohesive and they're not cohesive. Well, the situation unfolded even worse later in the day when a Democrat from her party out of New York said it's time for her idiocy to stop. It's time for her to step aside on national news. And this was hours before Jim Cramer called her Crazy Nancy. Of course, there are Republicans who are asking for her to step aside as Speaker of the House. Lawrence, all I can say is that the election's coming up. Let's all vote and get these jokers out. Chris Wilthrop, good evening, Purple people. Pray for all those affected. Sherry, who cares about Nancy? Let's just get the proposal signed. Andy Biggs, House Representative, has asked for Nancy to be removed from her post, vacate her chair. Guess we'll see what happens. That was the one I was just referring to. Betty Collins. They want us to be homeless, so we're out on the street. My kids to eat my bills that need to be paid. Janice. I did my research. I live in Virginia, and my area was to call Step Incorporated to get rental assistance. We have an appointment next week. They said they would catch up and pay us 2 months in advance. Oh my goodness. So what's going on now is that Janice is saying that she followed my advice. She's in Virginia, she called an organization and she got an appointment and she's going to potentially get 2 months of free rent. That's incredible. That's the spirit of the Purple Power. Liz, why is it that essential workers continue to be the only group left out or forgotten in every bill? Absolutely, Liz. Trujillo, I agree. I mean, it's unexplainable. William Isaacs, how do you really think there's going to be one more check going to do, especially when you already lost your home? I don't think one check is sufficient. I've always said that you were screwed by congressional leaders. You were screwed by politicians. They said you were going to get multiple checks. You're going to get a check for the month of March, April, May, June. Instead, when they went back to revise the bill, the first stimulus package, they said, oh, we'll do one check. We'll get to the other ones later. They didn't get to the other bills later. They went on vacation. Jamie Barker, bye-bye, Nancy. Kamala 211. Hazard pay would be a blessing, but I think it will never happen at this point. Laneka. The problem with some of these city grants is not everyone needs them and not everyone qualifies for them. Andrea Carr. I get the hazard pay is important, but I think we should be really worried about the people about to go homeless and lose everything. Priorities. Very well said. Mary Evans, Senator John Kennedy. These are times. Malaya. She doesn't care about the people. She only cares for herself and her pocket. LA hero from Massachusetts. Hello from Massachusetts. Well, hello. Kathy, thank you for the update. Many God bless you. The American people who are suffering. Kathy Gutierrez. Christina Moore. When you're at the bottom, there's no way to go back up. But when you've fallen down, lift those chains from your ankles and stand taller. Better days are coming. I love that. Mark Zwelich. To be uncomfortably blunt, but I looked at LALATE's YouTube broadcast before anyone else's. Nobody beats the Purple Power for his laser-sighted focus on the issues. Far out, LA, way to go. He calls me a terrier with a rat. Or someone else a terrier with a rat. SoCal Ronnie, she brought it up. Time for her to leave and a bit of karma. I love that. Tana Daunt, good evening, LA. Purple Power, you rock. Michelle, I told my boyfriend in June that we wouldn't get anything until right before the election, or they were promised to give it to us right if they win the election. Yeah, he may owe you something for that. Shannon Clark, Purple Power from Ohio. Somebody please tell me Nancy, show me the money. William Isaacs, I don't understand why she's doing that position to get rid of her. It doesn't make sense. Mary Mack, praise for the whole country. Lisa, I want to meet that witch face to face. Okay, keep it calm. Sharithia, I have a question. What if your manager and all your employees quit, which made you work no days off? Is this scary? So yeah, I mean, that's one of the big issues about hazard pay, is that if there's no one to apply for hazard pay, how do they apply? If the bill says that the employer applies for hazard pay and the employer doesn't exist anymore because they shut the door. They lost the business. The business is belly up. Who's going to apply for you? Bob Griffins will not post information about how to get the help. They don't want help. That's what Agree America is about. Jesse, I hope that a new bill can be written for hazard pay, as there's been thousands of people who've died from COVID-19 being frontline workers. I agree, absolutely. Catherine Snook, when do we get it now? Arthur Bowling, when they're going to start giving out the checks, the timeline. We don't have that start date. We have the date of how fast it could be done if there's an agreement. 3 days after an agreement, because 1 day for the House to sign, 1 day for the House to vote, 1 day for the Senate to vote, and 1 day for the President to sign it. Tired of being tired. Nancy Pelosi, no confidence. Joy Sylvester, LA, with the people without homes or food, how far will the stimulus of $1,200 go? Very little. Cindy, good evening, LA. Love your purple power. I love Cindy. Bruce Conway, I've been watching since the beginning of your channel. I enjoy your content and personality. Well, thank you, Bruce, and we're bringing back the on-air comments like this. Jamie McPhee, just might Pelosi take this trip down the stairs. Phyllis Smith, it seems like only the rich are getting the stimulus money. Very well said. Jerry LeBreau, I like that there's ever time for to have a pop bill. It's now. Yeah, I said that yesterday. Louise, hazard pay should be one of the greatest things we can do for all those that love us. Amen. So many more comments. I can't get to all of them today. But if you have a comment to today's video, drop in below, and I may feature in tomorrow's recording. This is certainly a day to subscribe to this channel because there's a lot of developments. I'm the only one staying on top of all the different facets. That's why it takes 4 videos in the afternoon, a 3.5-hour programming block every day. No channel can be as comprehensive as this one. So go to the front of this channel, subscribe, and drop your comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording, and then like this video so that this video appears higher in the rankings. Coming up next is unemployment. I'll be answering your questions about unemployment on that video as well. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay FLA for more.